Okay, so what we're going to be doing today is the types of reactions lab. We're going to go through 6 different reactions, and hopefully by the end of this you'll be able to predict what the products of those reactions are based on what you see and what we already know about our types of reactions. And you'll also be able to answer some questions about them and then write out the full balanced reaction. If you look on the front of your lab, there's some information that you need to read about doing a splint test and the procedure in general. So if you haven't read that yet, please pause the video, read the front of your lab, and then come back. This first video is going to show the first reaction between iron and copper 2 sulfate and the second reaction between magnesium and oxygen. So the directions for the first reaction say, add approximately 5 milliliters of copper 2 sulfate to a test tube. Add a small piece of steel wool to the solution, wait a few minutes, remove the steel wool, examine it and the solution, and record your observations. So let's go ahead and do that. We have here a test tube. There's nothing in it right now. We have copper sulfate solution. And if I hold it against a white piece of paper, you can definitely tell that it's a light blue. And then we also have a small piece of steel wool. And if you look at that closely, hopefully you can tell what color it is through the camera. It's kind of a grayish metallic color. So we're going to put the steel wool into the test tube. There it is down at the bottom. And then we're going to add some copper sulfate. It says to add approximately 5 milliliters. We're not going to worry too much about the amounts at this point. All right, so there we have the steel wool inside the solution of copper 2 sulfate, and we're going to wait for a few minutes while we do reaction 2, and then we'll come back and check on that. Reaction 2 says magnesium and oxygen. Take a small piece, 2 to 3 centimeters of magnesium ribbon, holding it with a pair of crucible tongs, insert it into a Bunsen burner flame until it ignites. Be sure not to look directly at the flame. So we have our crucible tongs and a small piece of magnesium. And you guys have seen us do this before, so it should come as no surprise that when we put it into the flame, I think you can definitely see that burning. We'll do it one more time. So we can get a bigger piece here. Okay, here we go. And you can see that burning pretty brightly. To answer the questions for reaction 2, we also need to inspect what is left from that reaction. So looking at the counter here, you can see what is left over from the reaction. It's kind of a powder, it's pretty fine, it's kind of a grayish white color. So you'll need to note that in your observations. All right, let's see if we can check on our copper 2 sulfate. Let's see, we'll put some white paper behind the camera here so that we can hopefully see the color. There it is in the bottom of the test tube. Let's get rid of that liquid. And we'll put down a piece of white paper towel. Shake out steel wool. And I don't know if you guys can see that on camera, but it is definitely a little bit more brown than it was before. It's almost got like a reddish brown tinge to it, and that's going to be one indication for us that the solid copper is coming out of that solution and collecting on the steel wool. All right, that's it for reactions 1 and 2. Tune in to the next video for the next series.